That's entertainment. You know, when you're a great fighter, a great entertainer in general, you want the person to say, when do I see that person again? When's he gonna play again? When's he gonna fight again? You know, you gotta be able, if you can't put in seats, you're gonna get fired. You know.
40 fight, and I have Crawford winning this fight. Crawford's gonna win this fight doing something that nobody's done to Canelo.
Okay.
That's all I'm gonna say. And it didn't take me going to camp to know this.
Okay.
Weight game. So Israel Majamov says that if Terence Crawford bulks up, that's going to be the biggest mistake he can possibly make. And that's going to hinder him from being victorious against Saul Canelo Alvarez.
Mike Tyson gave his thoughts after training with Terence Crawford. He said the key before a massive fight like this against Canelo is staying calm. Tyson explained that the biggest battle is often psychological. If Crawford can keep his mind clear and not get overwhelmed by the moment, he'll perform at his best and even make winning look easier.
You know, fighters, pressure, right? Pressure's not being hit. You know, everybody thinks pressure's like getting on, staying on. Pressure's the thought of being hit. And that's how they fall. The thought is, I'm not hitting that hard, but they think I am.
Right. So
it's all psychological.
Are you, when you're walking to the ring, are you noticing anything, or are you so locked in?
I see everything moving. Every person, every girl. I see everything.
Dude, your walk-ins would last longer than the fights sometimes.
Do anyone have a napkin on my towels? Because I'm sweating like a pit with one hole up here.
You're sweating.
We will get you one.
You're sweating.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You're sweating like Charles Barkley at a spelling bee.
Yeah, I'm going to be sweating pretty hard there, too.
Exactly. So, Mike, we all know you hit hard. Who was the first person that when they hit you, you was like, oh, okay, this guy hits pretty hard?
Amir Khan, who once shared the ring with Canelo Alvarez, spoke about the magnitude of this potential clash. He respects Canelo's experience and greatness, but also highlights Crawford's punching power. With Crawford gaining weight and adapting to a higher division, Khan sees him as stronger than ever. He believes this won't be a one-sided fight, since both men bring elite skills that can change the outcome in a single moment. While Khan admires Canelo's dominance at bigger weights, he warns that Crawford's ability to adapt and rise to challenges makes this fight unpredictable.
He did that to Canelo after, so to your point, can Crawford do the same? Coming up from 54 and 47, can he, or will that, throw off the catch and shoot? I was going to catch and shoot.
We're not catching and shoot.
Make me think.
We're not catching and shoot.
We're catching it, resetting, and getting out of this range for a minute or two.
My fight with Arrow, I came back to the corner. I had a look on my face, I guess. And my dad said, "What's wrong?" I said, "Nothing." Like, classic Sean, nothing. He said, "Sean, tell me what's wrong." I said, my legs are kind of tight. He said, "Your legs kind of tight." He looked back, looked behind him. He would always do this and look back at the other corner. I don't know why. He looked back at them.
It was a habit, probably.
He said, "All right, we're not gonna use our legs so much this round." And I was thinking to myself, like, I need these legs.
I'm not trying to wear these shots.
Yeah. So to your point, when there's a feeling,
when the nervous system goes out,
where does that adjustment take place? Do you trust the adjustment? Do you implement it? So that next round I did settle down a little more. I was
lost around.
Whatever. Hello.
I ain't know where around is. Chill out.
He don't even know where around is. Pour this water on you. So we got some time until this fight. So we ain't gotta pour it all out at one time. We'll work our way up to this one.
Try to get on big guests to lead up to the fight.
Expect some more very, very big guests, and expect some very, very big things from the Puerto Rico podcast. The week of Crawford versus Canelo versus Crawford takes place here. What is that? September 6th?
13th. I was just gonna say, I've been critical of the fight because I felt like it serves as a foreground to the Ali Act stuff. And
analysts have raised concerns about Crawford's age and experience at higher weights. By the time this fight happens, Crawford could be 38, and age matters in boxing. Speed, reflexes, and recovery all decline, no matter how sharp your skills remain. While Crawford did step up to 154 pounds against Israel Majamov, some experts aren't convinced that was enough to prove he's ready for a powerhouse like Canelo. They call this fight not only Crawford's toughest technical test, but also a huge physical and mental challenge.
Being successful, September 13th, Las Vegas, Nevada, Allegiant Stadium, when he takes on another first ballot Hall of Famer, 4-division world champion, 2-time undisputed world champion, and reigning undisputed super middleweight world champion, Mexican superstar boxer Saul Canelo Alvarez, who is 63 wins, 2 losses, 2 draws, 39 wins by way of knockout. Terence Crawford had one fight at 154. That was against Israel Majimov, the WBA junior middleweight world champion, right? And since then, Terence Crawford has moved up now to 168 to challenge Canelo Alvarez, okay? And so prior to that, he spent 5 years at what? Welterweight. So the concern that people have for Terence Crawford, rightfully so, is that Terence Crawford will be 38 years of age 2 weeks after the fight. So he's 37, okay? Terence Crawford has one fight at 154. Prior to that, Terence Crawford has been competing, okay, since 2018 for the last 7 years at 147. Since June of 2018, he's been fighting at 147. His only fight outside of that division in the last 5 to 6 years was his fight against Israel Majimov at 154, which he won, unanimous decision. I thought he handily won, but people thought that he struggled. Israel Majimov is now 10 wins, 2 losses, 1 draw, 7 wins by way of knockout because he lost his last fight to Mexican superstar, WBC junior middleweight interim champion Virgil Ortiz Jr.
Crawford and his team stress that their preparation is different from Jermell Charlo's, who lost badly to Canelo. Crawford insists he is not Charlo. His style, patience, and ring IQ make him a different kind of fighter. The team is focusing on movement, precision, and smart pacing rather than brute strength. The game plan is clear: frustrate Canelo with defense, then punish him with counters. Training has been intense, with tough sparring and conditioning designed to mirror Canelo's power and pressure.
Team Crawford just revealed that they're currently working on making sure that the Omaha native doesn't end up like Jermell Charlo this coming September 13th when he faces Canelo Alvarez. Now this report comes from Boxing Scene, wherein it was just revealed by somebody from Crawford's camp that Terence Crawford is, quote, wary of repeating the mistake that former 154-pound champion Jermell Charlo made to a new weight limit without consideration of other factors. Boxing Scene further elaborated by saying that Crawford wants to retain his ability to fight with fluidity, maximizing the effectiveness of his power punches from both hands and ability to fight from a southpaw stance. With that said, Crawford's camp is now on full lockdown from the media or any sort of distraction up until fight week. Now, it's definitely worth considering that while it's technically
Experts have also warned about the risks of moving up in weight. As fighters add bulk, speed and agility can drop. Recent photos of Crawford looking heavier sparked debate online. While pictures can be misleading, the concern is real. Will the extra muscle slow him down? Power may increase, but endurance and flexibility could suffer, and Crawford's speed has always been his biggest weapon.
Because the man is simply human. I mean, the more you age and the more weight you gain, of course you're going to be slower. Now, that doesn't mean that he won't be an elite fighter anymore. No, of course not. When you talk about special fighters like Terence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez, they can handle themselves against anyone on any given night in the worst circumstances possible. That is a fact, ladies and gentlemen. So let's get back into the discussion when it comes to Terence Crawford carrying the 168 division, when it comes to the 168 pound weight. So if you actually think about it, Terence Crawford, how is the man looking right now? I know, yes, I know that we have seen the new pictures of Crawford with him looking absolutely massive, but I actually talked about this in one of my previous videos, ladies and gentlemen, which you can go back and check out. Terence Crawford, don't let these pictures fool you, ladies and gentlemen. Don't let these pictures fool you. Yes, of course Terence Crawford gained weight, but the pictures make it seem like Terence Crawford looks like a heavyweight. Let me tell you this, ladies and gentlemen. The lighting and the pump and the angle, everything plays a part in how you look in pictures. You know what I mean? Like, this is a fact, ladies and gentlemen. I can show you 2 pictures of me taken within 24 hours, and in one picture, my physique looks completely different than the other picture. one picture I can take after having a unbelievable workout, with a nice sweat on, with a nice pump, with some nice lighting and a nice angle, I would look completely different than when I look right now or getting out of bed, which I just did.
Respected trainer Abel Sanchez doesn't see this as a competitive fight at all. He dismissed the matchup, saying it would look more like a sparring session. In his view, Crawford is simply too small for Canelo. Sanchez believes Alvarez's size, strength, and experience at higher divisions give him a decisive edge. While he respects Crawford's greatness, he argues that physical realities can't be ignored in boxing.
Crawford, quote, "It will be a sparring session for Saul Canelo Alvarez." Coach Abel Sanchez dismissed Crawford's chance against Canelo, and it's really because of the weight gain. Renowned Mexican trainer Abel Sanchez has reignited the hype surrounding Canelo Crawford, scheduled September 13th, Las Vegas. Speaking to the ring, Gennady Golovkin, trainer, says, quote, "Crawford is a great fighter, but that's why weight divisions exist. Canelo has proven that when he moves up, he faces and beats the best in each category. Neither Bivol could hurt him, nor could my fighter in 2 fights." And he's talking about Golovkin. And even though Canelo and Golovkin fought 3 times, Abel did not train him for the 3rd fight. It was Jonathan Banks. So that's why he said in the 2 fights that he's familiar with, he's saying that Golovkin never really hurt Canelo. The weight jump, the big disadvantage. Crawford, undefeated record. He's 41-0, 31 knockouts. Agreed to move up to 168, blah, blah, blah. And he says, quote, "If Crawford had taken 3 or 4 years to gain strength and mass properly, he would have a better chance. But doing it in just over a year is too risky. He'll be slower and Canelo will dictate the pace." Now, this is a recent picture of Crawford, who definitely looks in shape. And, you know, that's what we come to expect from a guy like Crawford.
Chris Algieri isn't buying all the hype. While fans and promoters call this one of the biggest fights in boxing history, Algieri disagrees. He says it's exciting, but not on the level of past legendary matchups where both fighters were in their prime and evenly matched. His warning: the public may be overestimating the drama, since Crawford is stepping into unknown territory against a champion proven at heavier weights.
I love it, because I have a lot of casuals who go to me and like, "Man, I can't wait for this fight. This is the best matchup that can be made." And I'm like, no, it's not. It's certainly not. Definitely not. Definitely not the best fight that can be made right now. I can think of a dozen fights that I would rather see. And a lot of them include Inoue against a bunch of different guys that I would rather see over this fight. But casual fans don't care that much about 122-pound guys who fight across the world in Japan. They care about big names and characters. But at the end of the day, when you look at this on paper, Crawford's 38, Canelo's 35. Neither looked very impressive in their last fight. They're still 3 weight classes apart. That has not changed, because, you know, and Crawford hasn't fought in a year plus. And yeah, I mean, there's a lot of poo-pooing of this on paper. So I'm glad somebody says it. So thank you.
This guy, he didn't say his name. Yeah,
I like this guy. He came out there and just said his piece and left.
That's the type of guy that definitely calls in the WFAN here in New York. It's like, we need Boone fired. The Yankees suck. I don't look forward to anything. But,
what's up with that bullpen?
Yeah,
all right, I'm out of here.
I'm out. I'll hang up and listen. But yes, like you said, there are a bunch of fights you'd rather see. There are a bunch of fights I'd rather see both these guys in rather than the one we're getting. Like, I'd rather see.
That's a great way to put it too.
Yeah, Boots versus Crawford. I'd rather see Canelo versus Benavidez, Canelo versus Bivol, Canelo versus anyone at 168 of these top 5 there.
What about Virgil and Crawford? I like that fight. That got mentioned at one point.
Absolutely. I mean, but this is how boxing works. We'll all be excited on September 13th because it is a big event. We've talked about this numerous times on the show. We need big events, at least 1 or 2 of them a year, to stay relevant as a sport. It's on Netflix. We're all going to be excited that week heading into it. Maybe even that guy.
Hey, Dan and Chris. Love the show. This is Nero calling from Hollywood. I was wondering, with so many people taking Bud Crawford to win. I think at one point it felt like a hot take, and now it's becoming sort of a standard take. I hope this isn't too much of an abstract question, but can you think of another time where someone chose what seemed to be a hot take and then become the regular take? And what was the result of that fight? Personally, I think it's a bridge too far for Bud Crawford, and I think people are underestimating Canelo, but who knows?
Boxing analyst Showbiz the Adult focused on resumes. He argues that none of Crawford's past opponents would have survived against the type of fighters Canelo has faced. Canelo's record is filled with champions across multiple divisions, while Crawford's perfect record lacks names of that same caliber. Critics often accuse Canelo of cherry-picking easier opponents, but Showbiz pushes back, saying nearly everyone Canelo has faced has been elite in their own right. Compared side by side, Canelo's career path has simply been tougher, while Crawford's resume, though flawless, is thinner in terms of big names.
Would beat Triple G. That Spence, that Crawford fought, that Kell Brook, that Crawford fought, that Sean Porter, that Crawford fought, would any of them beat Callum Smith at 168? I'm not sure how many fighters Crawford fought would beat the Miguel Cotto that Canelo fought. This is what I'm trying to say. When it comes to skill, experience has a lot to do with it. Case in point, you get an Austin Trout, you get a Caleb Plant, you get a Lara, you get a Floyd Mayweather, you get a Bivol. Just those five, when it comes to experience, gives him the right experience that when he fights Crawford, he's not like, I don't know what this is like. There's not one fighter Crawford fought that would give him the experience against Canelo.
Training footage shows just how hard Crawford is pushing himself for this challenge. His camp features strength training, tough sparring, and drills for endurance. His experimenting with different techniques to prepare for the heavy punches and long exchanges that Canelo brings. Crawford's team also stresses mental toughness, staying disciplined and composed. But the big question remains, can Crawford handle Canelo's relentless style? Against Errol Spence, he dominated, but Spence didn't have the size, power, or patience that Alvarez possesses.
And that usually breaks him down. So with some fighters, I see is that they think that Canelo is easy work because of the fact that he's flat-footed and he just kind of like, he does basic, I would say. He has basic skills, but he's really good at those basic fundamental skills. He does everything almost like perfect. But yeah, he's flat-footed, but you got to realize that he also has hell of a head movement and body movement. He understands and he's perfected that rolling with the punch thing. He's been rolling with punches like just to take off the steam off the punches.
Former world champion Kell Brook gave his breakdown and leaned toward Canelo. He respects Crawford's win over Errol Spence, but reminds everyone that Spence is not Canelo. Alvarez brings a unique combination of power, experience, and tactical control that Crawford has never faced before. Canelo thrives at bigger weights and has repeatedly proven himself against larger opponents. Brook believes Crawford's skills are world-class, but this fight is on another level. For him, Canelo is the most complete fighter Crawford has ever stepped in the ring with, bigger, stronger, and more strategic.
You've got to sway towards Canelo. Crawford's going to have to, move up, and, I knew when I boxed Golovkin, there's a big difference, especially with someone that, fighting a middleweight, a mediocre world champion's okay. But when you're fighting someone like, Canelo or Golovkin, it's a different kettle of fish, I have to lean towards Canelo, but, Crawford's very, very, very good.
You think Crawford's still got the legs? Obviously, he's very much got great IQ in the ring, but he's very much a good mover as well. Do you feel like he's still got the legs to be maybe outmoving Canelo if he needs to?
Well, I don't know. I think when we look back at Mayweather when he beat Canelo, he's a mover. Crawford's not really like Mayweather in that aspect. He's more. He kind of sets his feet and he's just his cue with how he approaches chucking shots and moving. You know what I mean? I think it's a different fight to me.
That's it for today's video. Stay tuned. Until next.